Okay, so here we are on the BuilderTrend website, and we're going to get signed up with our brand new account. So I'm going to go to sign up, and so let's see. I just want to make sure that we have a QuickBooks integration. So we'll say choose these couple options. And in this case, we're really going for enhanced estimates and contracts and accurate financial management. You might want to select all of these, who knows. So we are interested, estimates, bids, invoices, schedules, and maybe you want to select all of them as well. We'll go with a middle tier revenue amount. We'll say no for now. And it looks like we are geared toward the $4.99 per month. It goes to $7.99 after 1 month. We'll go ahead and sign up. I guess similar to QuickBooks, their pricing has changed quite a bit over time as well. So let me get this filled out. Okay, so here we are in our brand new BuilderTrend account. And we're going to choose our journey, but right off the bat, I'm going to head over to cost codes because that is the meat of this demo. Okay, we'll say I'm an owner. We'll say test job, and we'll say it's a custom new home, and we'll say fixed price. We'll say we're starting, and then let's just we'll do the post office. Okay, get started. So what I really want to show you, so we have our test job, and this is good. I'm trying to think of some nuances about BuilderTrend that took some getting used to as an accountant. The budget is most important, and we have to get an estimate in order to properly see our budget. I'll defer to most of the BuilderTrend trainings as far as how to upload the budget, how to work with it. I spend most of my time in this when all of the cost codes are populated, but we have a long ways to go before we can have all of our cost codes in here. So I'm going to go over to company settings, and for something that I use so often, I'm just surprised that it's not front and center. So then we're going to go to cost codes, and okay, let's talk about cost codes. So this all makes sense. I'll let you read this at your own pace, and I'm sure it will change over time. But the one thing I want to reiterate is that cost codes are different from all of your expense account categories that you have in QuickBooks. So that's commonly confused because in order to properly integrate with QuickBooks, you have to be aware that you have your chart of accounts, which is the basis for your financial reports. Then you have your products and services, which are kind of an in-between the chart of accounts and your cost codes in BuilderTrend. The products and services need to be identical to what's in BuilderTrend, and the cost codes in BuilderTrend need to be mapped once and only once to a product and service in QuickBooks. That can be really confusing because the products and services, all of them can be mapped to simply one expense account, but that is just within QuickBooks. So let me try to rephrase this in another manner that might make more sense because this concept is so critical. So if we look at it from the other direction, you have your cost codes in BuilderTrend. Those are all of the different categories that you can book costs to for each and every job site. And those cost codes are most effectively used when you view them in BuilderTrend. That's where you're going to want to go to look at your job by job profitability and look to see where you overspent on certain cost codes. Those cost codes in BuilderTrend have to be mapped once and only once to a product and service in QuickBooks. So even if you have a similar cost code, like say, for example, you have a plumbing cost code and then you have a plumbing install cost code, you cannot map both of those from BuilderTrend to the same cost code in QuickBooks. Why is this? I find that we tend to see duplicated costs in our reports if that happens. So you can only map once and only once cost codes to QuickBooks products and services. And then once that's complete, all of the products and services in QuickBooks can be mapped to one expense account. And then on your profit and loss statement in QuickBooks, you can evaluate total costs. So that's how it should be set up. So let's see, we're going to manually add our own because we're going to import our list because we started with the NAHB template. So let's see if I can browse, and so let's just take a quick look at their BuilderTrend cost code template. So no surprise, the sample cost code import just has two categories, cost code category and cost code, and it matches exactly with what they've given us as far as the NAHB cost code. So we can just go ahead and import this file. Okay, so the file is currently importing, and it looks like we have the categories set up. We have each and every cost code. So this is off to a great start. I'm going to go ahead and add these cost codes. Okay, add more codes. So yes, we can add more manually, or we can do an additional import at a later date. And we have all of our sections neatly organized. So if you've never done this before, you might actually think that you're done, but that's unfortunately not the case. What we need to do is now we need to integrate QuickBooks. So that's not even in this screen. We're going to go back over to our company settings. And where do we have, so you and I are learning this together. So we're going to go over here to this accounting integration, and we're going to go with QuickBooks. And we've got, so these are some unique attributes of the QuickBooks and BuilderTrend integration. More on that to come in future lessons. We are going to connect to QuickBooks Online, and I'm going to get logged in with my Intuit ID. Okay, you are now connected to QuickBooks, and link a job to QuickBooks. So I'm going to disagree with this suggested setting. I want to link jobs to customers, and I don't want to utilize sub-customers. Yes, QuickBooks has a project and job functionality. Quite frankly, I do not find it to be as robust as just using a customer, especially when it comes to running reports. So this is the first default setting I'm going to change. That's fine. Yep. This is a nice way. So when you add a new job in BuilderTrend, it will automatically create a new customer in QuickBooks. And I cannot stress the importance enough of having a consistent naming structure between BuilderTrend and QuickBooks. So if you just have BuilderTrend create the job in QuickBooks, hopefully it will come in with the exact same naming format. As far as a naming format goes, I recommend using the address number, the street name, and then the last name of the homeowner. It seems to vary from builder to builder what they refer to their jobs as. Some of them refer to them as the street name. Some of them refer to them as the last name. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that the naming convention between BuilderTrend and QuickBooks is identical, because you're going to run around chasing your tail if they're not. Let's see. So create a new QuickBooks invoice from owner invoice on initial release by builder. Yes, I like that. We do want there to be an owner invoice in QuickBooks as soon as you create an invoice in BuilderTrend. We will use the standard accounts payable account. That's one thing I recommend not changing. Don't create a separate AP account. Don't get off of this track. Default the option to create a new vendor in QuickBooks when creating a BuilderTrend sub vendor. Yes, that should be fine, especially if you're getting started from the beginning. If you already have vendors in an existing QuickBooks file, you'll want to map those instead of creating new. Yes, we want to allow BuilderTrend to create bills. Default the option to send bills to QuickBooks. Yep. And default the option to mark QuickBooks bills as billable to owner. That might be useful if you're doing something like a cost plus arrangement. Budget, include costs entered in QuickBooks in the budget by default when linking jobs to QuickBooks. Yes. So in future lessons, we're going to go through some advanced data upload techniques that will save you a ton of time. And this will allow that data that you upload into QuickBooks, it will go right into BuilderTrend. Time clock options, create a new QuickBooks time activity from a time clock shift when approved. I would not. I think that's just going to get messed up. So we will go ahead and save that. And now we can go back into our cost codes, cost code actions. Now we have the manage QuickBooks cost codes. And here's where you might want to have an office manager or someone else whose time is not quite as valuable as you as the business owner, because all of these have to be mapped one by one. And this is where you can also copy and paste this entire list. And since I just did this, it's all nice and clean. But for a lot of existing builders that find me after they've already set up their QuickBooks and BuilderTrend accounts, I find that this is our biggest source of cleanup that's needed. And the other risk is when someone adds a cost code in BuilderTrend who might not understand the sync with QuickBooks, we find that it either is not mapped to QuickBooks at all, in which case your reports are out of sync, because if it's not mapped, the costs are not going to flow between the two systems, or they don't understand that you have to get into QuickBooks and create a new product and service for that same new cost code that you created, and they map it to something similar, and then we get into that trap where transactions appear multiple times on your budget reports in BuilderTrend, which really skews your numbers, really messes with your head when you're trying to make some decisions. So I'm going to finish mapping all of these. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm getting close to the end, and a few other things came to mind. You'll want to make sure that each and every one of your cost codes is mapped to QuickBooks. If you have any situations where it's not linked to QuickBooks, that means you basically can't use that cost code because it's never going to reconcile with QuickBooks. And I also wanted to mention how convenient it is to have these numbers here, because I can just type the number and it pulls up the product and service that I'm trying to map to in QuickBooks right from that number. And I do come across a lot of builders who have tweaked the descriptions of their cost codes over time. And so we might, for example, 6450, if they changed that to be, deck material instead of just decks, the number tells us that it's intended for that cost code to be identical. And just in case you haven't caught this at this point, these products and services that are in the drop down are populated directly from QuickBooks. So these are the ones that we uploaded in the previous module. And so I've made it to the end of the list. And since I uploaded the same list to QuickBooks as I did BuilderTrend, we have an identical match for all of these cost codes. So now I'm going to hit save, and I've got just another note about this. So something I like to do is I like to select all of these and it can be a little bit finicky. Sometimes it doesn't work on the next try, and I'm going to open a new tab and just go to sheets.new to open a new Google Sheet, but this works in Excel as well. And then I'm going to paste what I copied. And this makes it so handy for you to do some analysis on where you might have some problems. So you can work with a spreadsheet to identify duplicates. So you could highlight column B and use some conditional formatting. And if you see that you have duplicated transactions appearing in your budget reports, you can quickly identify where some of your cost codes might be mapped to the same product and service in QuickBooks. But in our case, since we started from the beginning, we've got one-for-one match. They're all mapped. And this can also be just a really nice way to get your cost codes into a spreadsheet if you need to do some more analysis. So let's go back to our test job. So we'll go to the budget. We only have one job. And now let's see if this was created in QuickBooks. So we've got our test QuickBooks file open, and I'm going to go to sales, and I should see it in customers. So since it's a new job, it's not there, but there's multiple aspects that you need to map with BuilderTrend. So just because you've connected QuickBooks doesn't mean it's all set up. So next, we need to go into the job details, go over to accounting, and link to QuickBooks. And just my personal opinion, I really dislike using sub-customers in QuickBooks. I always choose the option to link to a customer. If you do a customer, you're basically if you do a sub-customer, you're basically creating two lines in your customer list in QuickBooks that are unnecessary. And most home builders don't have a lot of repeat customers. Let's be honest. You usually build the home or do the remodel, you finish the work, and that homeowner, it might be another 10, 15, 20 years before they have a repeat project for you. So really, the sub-customer is only useful if the homeowner is coming back for multiple projects and you want them all mapped and billed under one parent customer. But even then, even if you have different phases of a project, I would gear toward just linking the customer in QuickBooks at the parent level, even if they have slightly different names. The sub-customers just make it so much more confusing. So let's see, will it let us, this job requires a contact. Okay, so let me put in my info. We'll say new contact, and we'll do 456 North Meridian Street. And we'll say save and close. Then we'll go back to accounting. We'll link to QuickBooks and requires a contact. Okay, so we have let's see. So the devil is always in the details, and even though I added myself, I had to assign myself to the job. Now that that's complete, I can come back over here to accounting, go to link to QuickBooks, say next, and we don't have anything pulling in from QuickBooks, so we're going to say create new QuickBooks customer. Now it's linked, and we have our connection, and I'm going to save and close. So now if I go back to my QuickBooks file, I should be able to hit refresh on the customer screen. And here we have me. So let's take a look over here at BuilderTrend. So we have test job. That's the name. It looks like it did not create the name in the exact same format. So in case some customers or vendors or anyone who's submitting documents for this job, some of them refer to them by street name. So I'm going to put my street name and the name, and you just update the company name in QuickBooks, and you change the display name, save, and then here, so we'll say 456 North Meridian, and now that's a huge advantage, having the name exactly the same. It's going to cut down on a lot of confusion, especially when you go to upload transactions into QuickBooks, because if you upload anything in ever so slightly of a format, even with an extra space or a period at the end, it would create an entirely new customer in QuickBooks that would not sync to BuilderTrend. Another thing a lot of people don't realize that you have to set up is subs and vendors. So when you add a sub and vendor, we're going to say ABC Plumbing, and let's see if we can just save. You have to come in here to accounting, and it says that they are linked in QuickBooks. So I guess it just created a brand new one. So this can be such a double-edged sword. Yep, sure enough, it's here. So the problem would be if you're starting with an existing QuickBooks file that already has a list of vendors, you would not want to create new vendors in BT. However, there was a setting that we chose specifically to automatically create new vendors in BT in QuickBooks. Since we're starting with a brand new file, that should be okay. So now you have your cost codes linked, you know how to link jobs, and you know how to link vendors. So I think that's the important aspects of getting the job set up, and we'll take a deeper dive in future modules. Thanks for watching.